Well, the political space is truly accommodating. It soaks up everyone, irrespective of their political views. Sadly, Nigerians are back again. They can't wait to see the end of this journey, the journey to 2019. Some questions are begging for answers, just as some are idiomatic, self-evident. Though he isn't his party flag bearer for the coming elections, Mr. Akinwumi Ambode has said he would lead a strong campaign to ensure victory for President Buhari and the All Progressives Congress governorship candidate in Lagos State, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, in the general elections. Well, great man, great heart. Well, I failed to forget former Governor Fayose is still with the FCC. We hear he's been good to other inmates there. Stomach infrastructure at play. Well, we're still on the road to 2019. We will explore the turns, the twists and stops, but most importantly, the destinations. Stove on, pot on fire, it's cooking time. It's Political Stew. I'm Sulaiman Alede. Welcome. Well, the big one happening, not many Nigerians have been inundated with calls and stories making the rounds that former interim president Ernest Shonekan is dead. That we can authoritatively tell you is fake. Well, he's very much alive. Well, I just got off the phone with some relatives as well as Jimmy Dusu, who spoke with a daughter, and she's distraught at this moment that news is actually untrue, fake. And right here on Political Stew, we say Ernest Shonekan is alive. Now, everybody say, yeah, yeah. Guess who was at the shrine?
And our country will be greater. No matter what happens, this country will be great and will be greater. And all of us who are here, all of you who are here, you too will be great in this nation. All of you will be great in this nation. Everybody say, yeah, yeah.
Well, quite a lot is happening in our political space. It would seem as if when President Macron came to the shrine, he left a bit of stardust there. Now we're getting to see more and more people, influential people, call it politics, Fela Nicolas Kuti, but we have a lot of things happening at the shrine, and that's where you also found Nigeria's Vice President, Professor Shibajo, saying the very popular phrase of yeah, yeah. But again, this is something that truly will interest you. A whole lot about the alternatives. That's what we'll be looking at today, away from those that you already thought will be for 2019. But don't forget, you can also get to follow us as we go on the program. You get to watch us live on, that's what you find on your screen now, politicalstewng.com. And don't forget, we also have our app, which you can actually get to download right from the Google Play Store and get to watch the program and follow news and updates right here. We'll take a moment. When we come back, we'll dig deep and dig in and see what's cooking. Well, the road to 2019 is what we're still looking at, and today I'm being joined live on the program by Rotimi Paseda. He's the Social Democratic Party governorship candidate for Ogun State. Good to have you join us on Political Stew.
Thank you for having me.
I'm always excited getting to see people come from, you know, other parties other than the APC and the PDP, because Nigerians have been talking about alternatives and clamoring for alternatives. First, let's talk about your party, the SDP. Is it the same as the SDP of the mid-80s, 90s, I beg your pardon?
Absolutely. It's a rebirth.
A rebirth.
And what we're looking at is, I wouldn't say a change. I would call it a fresh reinstatement of SDP, because what we had then was a political party that is being run or operated by one person, and that was MK Abiola in those days. But now we have a group of well-meaning Nigerians, politicians and technocrats that has come together and contributed into actually building this party, which is completely different from the way it was, initially. So it's a fresh main force, and we are hoping that if we continue the way we are, we're hoping to take over the political space in the very near future, if not effectively from 2019.
I think that's the dream or the wish of almost all political parties, if not all of them. But looking at what is happening now, let's situate this pretty well. And it has to do with alternatives, the clamor for an alternative political party that will, feed the hunger of Nigerians. Do you think that the SDP has what it takes now, sort of speaking about your agenda?
Yes, absolutely, because the party is actually user-friendly. It takes into consideration the needs of the commoners. I mean, when we talk about progressiveness, this is the true progressive party. The right and the left, when I say the right and left, I'm referring to APC and PDP. They have openly and obviously failed Nigerians. And what has happened is the good people from both and the independent good people who have come together into SDP, and they are forging ahead to give the poor Nigerians the alternative that they need, which is good governance, government that is based on the needs of the common man, rather than the elitist type of government that concentrates a lot more on the artificial stuff like infrastructural development at the expense of the human development. So we are more pro mankind and a lot more humane as political parties go. So we are the main force, we are the third force, and we are what the people need, because our practices, our policies, our procedures, our agenda, the entire setup of the party is totally different.
Let's talk about your agenda.
It's wide.
Help us here. Talk more about your agenda. How different, when you say we're quite different, and you say it is the true progressive party that Nigerians clamored for. Let's now start to look at them. Sell your party.
Yes, absolutely. First of all, let's take the processes within the party as an example. In most other parties, you have imposition. You have people that will come in, and because they have godfathers or they have friends in high places, and by virtue of that, they get appointed or elected or selected. In SDP, for example, the reason why I went to the SDP, I went to the SDP without knowing anybody in SDP. I don't have a friend in SDP. The chairman is not known to me. The vice chairman wasn't known to me. The secretary, nobody was known to me. I came from a weak point of not knowing anybody. I came into SDP, and I was given the opportunity and the chance to vie for this ticket. And I did, and I won without knowing anybody. So it tells you from the actual fabrics of the party, if the party itself, the formation and the processes in the party is good and is open and it gives a level playing ground, then obviously the government that party will provide would reflect what the party is all about. So I think if somebody like me can come from nowhere, join the party within 3 months, and the other gladiators in the party, and I can clinch the ticket without having to know anybody, then that says a lot about that kind of political
that's
party.
for the process.
As a process. But then in terms of what we have in stock for the people, we are more inclined to look at what our people need as individuals rather than what the state needs. We believe that we should develop the people and let the people develop the state. What we have now is concentration on infrastructure at the expense of human development. Our practice and our belief is that it is when you empower people and you make their lives more comfortable and you give them what they need in terms of pay their salaries on time and do all that, they will be more inclined to serve and they'll be more inclined to deliver. But and when you do things like that, you empower them, into developing their own personal businesses, cottage industries, right? And that will in turn, the people will now build the state. But in this case, the money comes in, we're spending on infrastructure, on physical things.
You know, I know...
Which is very crazy.
Sorry to come in here. I know the campaigns have not started officially, which will start around November 18th.
That's,
now, looking at how you have, you know, enunciated some of these points, in Ogun State, where you're going for the office of the governor, how has it been with the people understanding the importance of people first, trying to develop the human, who in turn brings that development within his or her environment?
People are a lot more politically savvy now. They've moved away from the point of looking at political parties into looking at individuals, what the individual stands for, the credentials of that individual. So they're a bit more exposed. Yes, there's still that dirty politics that still goes on, and they understand that over time, what they have been doing is selling themselves and selling their votes and not getting anything in return. I mean, you can only push people so far. They start pushing back. And that's what's happening in Ogun State now. People are pushing back. It's so healthy. I find it very healthy in the sense that you have so many political parties and so many candidates. It wasn't like that before. Now we have so many political parties, and every day when I read the newspaper and I see another political party come up with a governorship candidate, I think, fantastic. You know, it's good. It exposes us, and it limits the winner takes it all syndrome. Our political party is determined to bring an all-inclusive government.
That's where I also come in. When you talk about the inclusiveness, you know, the inclusive policy or philosophy of your party, how does this sit pretty well, knowing full well that already in some other political parties, like the other political parties like the APC and the PDP, some aggrieved politicians are looking to come into your party? And if you say your party is untainted, it has its own, you know, hybrid philosophy towards the people, does it worry you that sometimes when some of these politicians come in to your party, you just might have a semblance of what it is where they were coming from?
It doesn't worry me at all. The reason why it doesn't worry me is because I have been through the process of this party, and I know what they do. I went through screening. Yes, you can join any party. It's legit, it's legal, nobody can stop you. But then what the party exposes you to, allows you to do, is another thing entirely. They asked for my CV, they did screening for me, they get security checks and security clearance. They did all that before I was able to be allowed to actually go and vie for that position. It's not done in most political parties. And it's not most, in all political parties majorly, it's not done. They delve into who I am, where I've been, where my source of income, and all that. When I went for screening, I was worried. I thought I was going for an interview, because they grilled me. And I wasn't the only one. Everybody was grilled. So basically, if you know that you're not, you don't have the intention to serve, at that point, you would have given up yourself anyway, or you don't have the credentials or the passion to actually go into the political space for the right reasons. So if I could go through that, if the political party could expose me to that, yes, people will come in, but you find that they would not be able to do what they used to do in that their party they're coming from.
You don't see your party as a party of some aggrieved people who just couldn't fit into the PDP and the APC coming together and say, okay, well, we just couldn't fit in, let's form our own political party, the SDP.
No, but the party has been in existence for a long time. And the people there have been consistently there. They haven't just jumped ship. I have been in politics now since 2014. I have not changed political parties. This is the first time. I changed to SDP because of the ideology of this party. I choose not to go to APC or PDP because of, for that, same reasons. So you will not find people that have just jumped ship in SDP. No, you would find them that have been consistently in some sort of organization that is linked with SDP consistently. And the pedigree, the pedigree of the kind of people that you find there. Forget political propaganda and all that, but we all have our flaws. But when you weigh the structure and the people in my political party and compare it with others, that's a massive difference. A huge difference.
Do you still see your party as the third force?
It's not the third force, it's the only force. We're there to stay, and we will take over this nation.
Because when that name popped up, the third force, initially, building and, some names popped up. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo popped up. And of course, your presidential candidate, Mr. Donald Duke, also popped up before he emerged as the candidate. A lot of people actually thought the former president was with you all until they saw him recently with the PDP candidate. And, with that, all forgiving speech and acceptance of the candidate. How does that, sit with you if you say, you have some other people with you or within your party? Is the former president still with the SDP?
Absolutely not. I don't think the president was ever with the SDP. Our former president, Olusegun Obasanjo, is a father of the nation. He ideally can't constantly stay within one space. He was with PDP. He was with the PDP for a while when he thought PDP was.
That. He just can't constantly stay in one space because
yes,
because I think because he was like a campaigner for the third force.
Yes.
Yeah, he was. Press conferences he had
for
spoken.
The CNM, that was a movement.
Yes, that was the movement.
And then it translated into ADC. Mm-hmm. So he wasn't actually in a political party. He by virtue of who he is, the father of the nation.
But when you go to the website of the CNM, first you're welcomed when you go through the process. You're welcomed by the voice and video of Mr. Donald Duke.
Okay.
Yeah, to tell you that we've actually gone to that site.
Yes.
So, and everyone thought, okay, this was something that the former president has put his signature on, and he was going to give it his all, until recently. Mm. But before then, you thought he was still with the SDP. He was still back in the SDP.
No, he wasn't. It was in CNM. Now, CNM is a movement. I wasn't in CNM. This is why I'm saying that this party is totally different. I was in NIM. A Nigerian Intervention Movement. Duke was in CNN. And at some point, our path crossed because he was also in NIM for a brief period. But you see, the thing is, when you have a movement or when you have a political party, there must be somebody at the peak of it. There must be someone that we all relate to. Hence, we have presidents. Hence, we have governors. So if the presidency, if I decided I wanted to set up a political party now, and I'm close to the president, and he feels that I have that credibility that he likes or whatever, I can ask him to come and give it a bit of credit. If he feels at that particular time, that space, which I just said, he can't stay too long in a space. If he feels that that space at that time requires him to move to support my move, so be it. That's what he would do. That's why he's the father of the nation. That's why he's the father of Nigeria.
Politics.
So it's very complex.
It's local.
Yes.
You are Rotimi Paseda. Mm-hmm. You're a prince.
Yes.
Tell us about your princehood, in Ogun State. Maybe the people can actually get to understand where you're coming from, so that they can see if truly you fit the man they want to be the governor of Ogun State. Okay.
Perhaps maybe I'll just say a little bit about myself rather than talk about the princely stuff. I am Rotimi Paseda. I am the founder, or one of the founders, or one of the resuscitants of UPN. I came back.
The same Unity Party of Nigeria?
Yes, we brought it back. There was 3 of us, including Frederick Fraction, registered it in 2014 to 15. I contested in Ogun State using that platform for the first time. I'm not a politician. It was my first way in. And I think we did quite very well. But the ideologies of the late sage is what I am all about, as far as I'm concerned. Everything about me, everything you see, is I am what you call unrepentant Awoist. And my government is going to reflect that. because I believe that we did well when he was the premier, and we did well when he was in the helms of affairs and things were done the Awolowo way. So I want to bring my state back to that era. Now, I am Otumba Adeneye I. Adeneye is the crown name. Assuming I became the king, I would be called Oba Adeneye. I come from the ruling house of Ramoja in Ijebu-Omu. And since coming back to Nigeria, I briefly stayed in Lagos, but I moved permanently to my hometown. I live in Omu amongst my people. I've been living there for years.
So you're not the type of politician who lives, outside his locality or outside his people, because we've seen a lot of people. For instance, you live in a community and you only come back home maybe a weekend, and
yeah, absentee politician.
No, I don't do you've seen quite a number of them, isn't it?
There's a lot of them, Lagos politicians and all that, but you can never know your people unless you live with them. My home was specifically built so that my people can have access to me. I have a very low fence. You can actually climb over my fence.
So what do you
and
know?
My gate
What do you
quite
know?
open.
What do you know about your people? Because it would seem as if, well, the incumbent has done a lot for the people, and there isn't anything for you to do.
Absolutely not. He has done nothing for the people. He has done a lot for the fabrics, for the superficial look of the state, but nothing for the people. Our state looks like a mini US. Our capital, we've got bridges, we've got 5 lanes, we've got all that. Hey, that is not doing something for the people. That's doing something for the aesthetics of the state. When you do something for your people, you convert that amount of money that you spend on things that don't have to be done now. We don't need those huge, massive industrial roads. We need to manage what we have. Even in the UK, they have 2 lanes and they maintain it, and convert that money into doing something positive, constructive for the people, like paying, old salaries, like giving the teachers that teaches our kids a better standard of living. In those days, the reasons why people like us did well in school is because our teachers are comfortable, and it's only a comfortable mind that can impact, on the students. They have car loans that they pay, next to nothing in those days. Most of the teachers have beetles. They have assistance with housing. Housing scheme. That in Lagos then it was Jakonde housing. Most of the teachers, my parents was able to buy a flat because she was a teacher and was paying back in bits for next to nothing. These are all programs that I think a sensible, God-fearing government should look at. Look at what the people needs that touches their lives first, and let the people build the states for us. The incumbent have done some things rightly. I am not here to praise him. I'm not here to deride him. But my standpoint is he's done the best he feels he can in his own way. Well, it's time for him to go, and it's time for Rotimi Paseda to come in and do what should be done, regardless of what he has done. For me, I am concentrating on the human, the flesh, the people, things that would touch their homes, things like free education, things like free health. I've been screaming and shouting about this since I started politics, because that's why I came into political space, to deliver that. And by God, from the very minute I am sworn in as the governor, I would declare my state completely free education state, and I will enact it so that the mistakes that our late sage did in those days, because if he had actually had the opportunity to actually make it a law in the state, nobody would have been able to come, no governor would be able to come and start increasing the fees. We have people that are homeless, that are at home, that they couldn't afford to pay school fees, they can't go to school. I lost a loyal friend recently, political friend, and he has 4 kids, and the eldest one was 17. All she could do was cry and say, my education is over. Hey, just lost a dad. but she knows.
So in Ogun State, I decided to ask you so that you can actually take us back to where you're from, so that we can situate this. We understand that Ogun State, there's also this ethnic politics that comes with every candidate. This rotational talk about, okay, this is the zone that has provided a governor, and doesn't that count against you?
It's actually in my favor if you look at it. From the onset, we have two regions. We have the Egbas and we have the Ijebus. As part of the Egbas, there's the Egbados that forms part of, and then in the Ogun East side, the Ijebus, we have the Remo, which is part of the Ijebus. But then, over time, there's some sort of unwritten separation. So we have now Egbas, Egbado, Remo, and Ijebu. So if we're to take it from that point, the last dispensation, which is the current dispensation, is an Egba man. The one before that was a Remo man, right? But I understand that by virtue of the normal rotation, the next governor should be an Ijebu man. That is one. The other thing is there is this unspoken, unwritten idea or acceptance that once you have a once you have a governor who's a Christian, the deputy governor must be Muslim. Then the next one, that's how it's always been. Now,
in Ogun State?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, you get a governor who's a Christian, you get a deputy governor who's a Muslim, because we have the two main religions.
I think
and they've been doing that.
I think your state is quite charitable when it comes to that. There are a couple of other states that they don't even.
Yeah, but it's got to be equitable. I mean, you can't have Christians.
That's what it's always been in Edo State, for instance. It's always been like that. So they don't care whether you're Muslim or a Christian. So
yes, but then you have to understand that majority of the people in your state are Christians. You have to understand that.
Well,
I would say maybe 70%.
We don't have the census. So you don't have the census, and that's another thing. Let's talk about your people, because I think I'm bothered about census. Till this very moment, politicians and even the president and everyone, governors, they still talk about, they hazard a guess. 150 million strong Nigerians, the next day 180 million strong Nigerians, and 2 days later, and someone is almost 200 million. So have you been able to get an adequate census of those you'll be, overseeing should you become governor of Ogun State, so that you can better plan? Because without you having the number, you can actually plan, can't you?
Yes, that's correct. But the issue of conducting a census, a correct and accurate census, had to be removed from the political space. The problem we've had is that it's been politically biased nationwide. So now it depends on who is in the helms of affairs. They will determine what, in terms of Ogun State, for example, they would say the Yewas are X number, the Egbas are X number, the Jebus are X number. It's politically driven. I plan, and hopefully I would be able to deliver that, plan to externalize that and actually make these census, it should be carried out by independent body that is devoid of political alterations or manipulation, because it's all political. Like Ogun East, we have 9 local government, right, based on census. But is the census correct? That's your guess, my guess, because the people that have always done that have used political motives to come up with the figures. And the figures are also, it helps them politically, it helps them in dividing the resources and planning.
So talking
so
about
I
figures,
need to now employ or recruit, or put it that way, someone that is completely independent.
Let's close on this, but still on figures. Going around your state, have you been able to get a sense of how many of these people truly have their permanent voter's card? Because if you keep talking to people, because especially in the social media, a lot of people who talk, and sometimes I engage them and I ask, have you been able to get yours? And they say, no, I don't have it. But you're still very much active on the social media, but you don't have that that can actually give you a voice on the day. So how has it been?
Well, unfortunately, there are two groups of people that falls within that category, and it's very sad. A lot of our students, the youth, they're very active on social media, but they don't vote. Two reasons why they don't vote. I've actually studied it. First, the time of voting, they're on vacation, and they leave the school and they go to their respective homes. In most cases, outside of Ogun State. They go back to Lagos or Oyo and all that. Even when they get there, they probably have voters card there. They don't vote because their parents don't allow them to vote. Because when you come to talk about middle class to upper class, a lot of them don't vote. It's the middle, it's the lower, I wouldn't want to use the word class, the working class and the needies, that the ones that actually go out, the megad, the drivers, most of the madams and the husbands, and they stay in the house on that day. So that's one part. And then we have the religious sect. Unfortunately, right, unless you actually say that on the day of voting is going to be on a Sunday, and it will be done after church, a lot of people wouldn't come out to vote. I've studied, I've done my research, but you can't base your political judgment on those. I don't subscribe to WhatsApp politics, because it doesn't really give you anything.
Politics.
That's why I call it WhatsApp politics, because you play politics on WhatsApp, but in reality, they're not on ground. I actually live among my people, and I go to the grassroots. I go into the markets, I go into the petty traders and talk to them, one-on-one as best as I can. So there's a lot of things that need to be corrected, a lot of things. Like, for example, our health issues, we don't even know, we don't have the statistics of malaria, for example.
Well, anyway, I think you go back to figures. I think we'll have to do this again. That's when the campaigns officially start. Then you come back again to our political kitchen for us to look at. Yes. No, not really. To look at those campaign promises bit by bit and see how best you can actually actualize them. Rotimi, Paseda, many thanks for finding time to join us this evening. Best wishes in your pursuit, and we'll see you again.
Thank you very much.
We'll take a moment, we'll be back, and this time, have you heard of that word, yes? Y-E-S? I'll tell you more about that. Stay with us.